Hi, my name is Aleksandra Kamenova and I have a story to tell you. I am from Moscow, Russia. I grew up in the Orthodox Christian church. About only twice a year we really went to church when it was Passover, Easter, and we also went to church on Christmas, around Christmas time. And I always thought that church was something out there, something very separate from me and something very beautiful. I remember as a little girl walking in and seeing all the icons, and it was so peaceful. And I grew up always knowing that there's a God. And my mother was a little bit more involved in Orthodox church. She went almost every weekend. And we were going to a church of Alexander. He was the first priest in Russia that started to preach in Russian so people could understand. Before that it was Slavic and people couldn't understand, and it was more of a tradition that we followed, just putting candle for our grandmother, for a sick loved friend, and to the icon we crossed, our, and thank God, and that was it. And that's how I grew up. And eventually, when I was a teenager, I started thinking more and more about purpose of my life, about existence, and about God. So I went on a journey to look for God, and I looked for God everywhere. I started studying different religions. I started studying Hinduism, and then Buddhism, and Zen, and I went quite in depth into it. I started practicing yoga. I practiced martial arts, trying to find purpose in Buddhism as well. And I was very much into the new spirituality, into new religions. And after studying them, I would find it very interesting, and I would immerse myself, and I would think I'm quite spiritual. I was a very spiritual person. And there I lived. Then about 3 years would pass, and I would still have a question. It was not satisfying. I still didn't understand what is the purpose of my life and why am I here. I was very successful from a very young age. I came from a well-educated family. We had enough resources to go and study at wonderful schools. By the time I was 18, I had own company that I managed, and I had a lot of money and I could travel everywhere, so I did. I lived in 15 countries, not just as a tourist, but I actually lived there. And I had quite a lavish life. I had an apartment in the center of the city, I had a car, any clothes, friends, I traveled, and still with all that and all the friends and education and the money that I had, I still felt empty. Nothing was satisfying, so I kept looking for God. At one point in my downtown apartment, I came home at night. I was 27 years old, still searching, and I got really tired. I just came out of another school, I finished another seminar, I got another thing to put on my wall. But I was tired and confused and empty. At the end of it all, I was still empty. I got on my knees, because that's how I remember the grandmas in my Orthodox church used to pray. So for some reason I thought, let me just get on my knees, and I asked God, who are you? I want to know you. I am tired. And the next thing that happened to me, I cannot explain in words that would make sense. All I can tell you is some spirit has descended on me. I was the happiest woman in existence. That's how I felt. And tears were coming out of my eyes, and I felt love, and I felt something real that I've never felt in any church, in any religion, in anywhere. I'd never felt that. And I stood on my knees and I cried, and I felt God himself who answered my question. I stood like this all night without noticing time, because there was no time at that moment. And after who knows how many hours, when I stopped crying and I came to my senses, all I knew was one thing. The answers is to all of my questions is in Jesus Christ. And I need to find out who that man is and what he wrote. And whatever he wrote, that's how I must live. That's all I knew. Nobody preached to me. I really never read a Bible. I didn't know anybody who was a Christian at that point, and I didn't know where to go. So it was, nobody hit me with a Bible on my head either, and I was absolutely sane. I was not ill. So what happened to me was so real, and I had an encounter with real God who was real. I never thought of him that way. I thought that was religion, just something I do, check mark on my life to balance everything in my life, and that's it. So next morning I went to do laundry, and I went to the laundromat, and it was all white, and there was nothing in the laundromat. Nothing, no people, everything was white. And all I saw was one book on the windowsill. And I came closer and I see it's a black book with leather, and it says, The Holy Bible. And on the seam of it, it says, for somebody who may need it. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. It was supernatural. There was no other books. And all I knew is I needed to read the Bible. And I opened it while I put my laundry, and I started reading it. And everything made sense. For the first time, I could understand. I turned to 1 Peter. It's one of the epistles in the Bible. And I just started reading 1 Peter. And it's like as if it was speaking to me. And I found all my answers. And without any schools, without any long seminars, without anybody explaining anything to me, I understood that all I need is to know what Jesus Christ wrote, to believe in him and follow him. Since that moment, my life has changed completely. All my tastes have changed. How I wanted to spend my time, how I wanted to live, who I wanted to live with, how I viewed men, how I wanted to dress. Everything changed supernaturally. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel any guilt that taunted me for all my life. I was set free and everything was new. And I found a meaning in my life. And now I have a purpose. And that purpose is to follow Jesus Christ until I die. To live according to his word, because that is all there is. Without that, life is boring and meaningless. I'm so thankful to God that I was able to find that, because it was revealed by him to me, and it's truth. It's truth. Nobody told me. He did. He exists, and he's real, and you gotta have a friendship, a relationship with him. And this life will end soon, but there's something after it, and only through him can it be eternal. As in book of John, it says you must be born again. And just faith, just knowing that you're a Christian, just knowing that you grew up Russian and everybody believes in God and there's a church, isn't enough. It's not the answer. Really, you've got to look beyond that, beyond the religion. Jesus was the end to religion. He wants faith, he wants a relationship. I encourage you to think that way, to seek, find the Bible and read it and talk to him. He is real and he will answer back. I guarantee you.